issue 262 of Critical Encounters, a podcast about Marvel Champions, a living card game by Fantasy Flight Games. Here we take a good look at the most critical piece of the game, the encounter sets. We'll discuss those poorly understood characters, unfairly labeled villains, and their various plans to sing some sea shanties and benefit the planet, as well as those so-called heroes intent on thwarting them. I'm one of your hosts, Steve, and joining me tonight is Chris. Hi, Chris.
Hi, I'm still here. You haven't been able to kick me out yet. So
yeah, how many shows is this
tough luck
now?
for you.
Is this 4?
I don't know. 4, 10.
Ooh.
Who's counting?
I'm always counting. So I think this is 4. So yeah, you better make your ultimate show here count. I mean, you set a precedent for those who follow after.
That's true. Yeah. I mean, I'm already set the expectations really high for other people, so
it's true.
Tough luck for them.
And also joining us is Daniel. Hi, Daniel.
Oh, hey, how are you guys?
Good. Great. Yeah.
Great.
We are here to talk about a modular set called Hounds. Not the Hounds, right? It's just Hounds.
Yeah.
Just Hounds.
Hounds. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Hounds. Now, in this set, there's a few minions, and I think we need to talk about some lore. And, Chris, you're our lore expert, so why don't you tell us all about the unique minion that we can find in the Hounds modular set?
I'll be happy to. We can definitely talk about Ahab. So, first of all, we have to take a trip to Earth 811, not the main Marvel continuity of Earth 616. So, Earth 811, again, is also not the Age of Apocalypse. This timeline is sometimes called the Days of Future Past timeline, which y'all probably talked about back when you talked about the Future Past encounter set, because this is the same.
Yeah, we definitely did.
Yeah, it's the same timeline that Nimrod is from. So, which is about apparently 33 years or so in the future from the main 616. In Earth 811, Ahab, whose real name is Roderick Rory Campbell, had become the leader of a government-sanctioned program that hunted down mutants. Because if you remember, in this future, mutants are basically just hunted all the time by either giant robots or everyone. And he primarily used what he called hounds to find these mutants. So the hounds, which are also in this set, were brainwashed and scarred mutants that were used by Campbell to hunt mutants. A lot of times they were like psychics or other ways to hunt down and find other mutants, and they didn't really know what they were doing, kind of. The most famous one is Rachel Summers. So she's the future child of Scott Summers, aka Cyclops, and Jean Grey, aka Phoenix. She's actually already in the game under the name Marvel Girl. She's a Justice ally. And you can actually see the scars on her face for being a hound. So she was
There's
actually
a lot of Summers characters in the comics, aren't there?
There are, and they all involve time travel all the time.
Yeah.
Cable, the other kid, Yeah, the Summers family gets confusing, for sure. So Rachel was basically Ahab's best hound. However, she escaped into the past, which would be the main 616 universe at the time. And while doing this escape, she was able to throw Campbell into a machine that mutilated his body. And so there was a time where he was in a floating chair, and then he got cybernetic legs. So he's kind of like a cyborg. And I failed to mention, but Ahab is not a mutant. He's definitely a human. So none of that. And after this all happened, Ahab tried to track Rachel down in the past. And in doing so, he kind of ran afoul of the Fantastic Four, as well as a bunch of different X teams. And this sort of started in Fantastic Four Annual, number 23 in 1990, which is his first appearance. And through a couple other annuals, back in the day, particularly in the 80s and 90s, annuals, which would be a one issue every year around the summer, would sometimes have one story across a bunch of them. So there'd be a Fantastic Four annual, an X-Men annual, X-Force annual, and telling parts of one story. a precursor to a lot of our events that happen now almost annually in the summer.
Right. Now, do you think because we have Ahab who interacts with the Fantastic Four, this is their way to sneak in a connection for Fantastic Four box in the future coming up?
Ooh, maybe.
That'd be
fun.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. They plant this little seed now. That'd be neat.
I know. Yeah. Yeah, because it is his first appearance. But after that, he's mostly dealing with X-Men characters.
Okay.
And so through that timeline, through that storyline, he was defeated by the Fantastic Four and a bunch of other X teams that came to Rachel's defense. And I think at the time she was part of a team called Excalibur, which was like a British-based mutant team that like Nightcrawler, I think, was also a member of, and Captain Britain, who's human, and so a few other people like that. So he would later show up again, but this time hunting down time-displaced original X-Men. So, story time.
Okay.
There is a point in the X-Men comics where Beast, Blue Furry Beast, feels that the X-Men have gone astray and decides, for whatever reason, to bring back his past selves, the original X-Men. Like from when they were still living with Charles Xavier, like I think timeline wise, it might be like around issue 8 or so of the original, like in the 60s. So he
Okay.
pulls them all into the future and they kind of like hang out, but it's like really weird because at the time, like older Jean Grey is dead for the time. She gets better.
Right.
And you have Angel's kind of like weird because he's kind of an archangel, and like all these very strange things have happened, and they get disillusioned because they see their future selves who are kind of like not the way they pictured themselves.
It's a classic college student versus responsible adult. Like you gave into the man, you become the man.
Yeah, a little
okay.
bit. Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
So they hang out for a while. As a side, because of this, is also when Iceman comes out, is because his younger version is more okay with his sexuality. It's a whole thing. And so they hang out for a few years. And then the last storyline, which is called Extinction, and it was like a 5-issue series, is where Ahab shows up. He's kind of hunting them down in a way to sort of, if he kills them, then maybe he also like kills off the whole X-Men, because like theoretically to close the time loop, they must go back to the original point where they were taken.
Next Saturday night, we're sending you back to the future,
so that they can continue on doing all the things that they were supposed to do. Time travel hurts my head. Don't worry if it also hurts your
Marvel time travel.
Yeah.
Rules of Marvel time travel are inconsistent.
Oh, incredibly so. So he goes there and tries to kill them, but during this, it doesn't work. Actually, through this series, this little 5-issue miniseries, is actually how they end up going back. Cable, the other Summers kid, ends up taking them out of the time displaced X-Men out, sends them to the future so that they can learn how to defeat Ahab, and then sends them back to when they were supposed to be. But at this point, Jean Grey has now gotten her powers better than she would have at that current age, where they all just remembered their memories instantaneously and then were able to defeat Ahab. It is very confusing and convoluted, and I think that's the simplest way I could possibly explain it, without a dry erase marker and a board.
You need the picture of the guy with all the strings.
From like It's Always Sunny. Yeah,
It's Always Sunny.
That's how I feel right now. Yeah.
Yep.
So during this, after Ahab's defeated, he kind of got stuck in the 616, and he would eventually, like probably like a year later, in real time, come up against X-Force. And he was able to actually get Rachel back under his control and a few others. But then this would sort of be his last battle, as it led to his death. And so that's it. He hasn't shown up since. He hasn't gotten
No.
better yet. Yeah.
When did he perish? When was he defeated?
In like 2019.
Okay.
So it's been a
Not too
minute.
long ago. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean it was.
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't like the 80s. So
No. Yeah. It's pretty recent. And I think some of the art that we have on the cards come from like that Extinction series and that X-Force arc that he's in as well. Those are like really more modern ones. And then just like a little more about him. He, like I said, he's a human, but he also had like these energy harpoons. It's like his main weapon. And they seem to use his own life force. And when they're thrown, they're sort of targeted to a specific person based on their DNA. And so they really find their target or someone related to the target, hence the DNA part.
okay.
But if anyone else touches it, they kind of get burned. So very, very weird. But it goes with the whole like Ahab motif, if he's got a harpoon.
Right.
Yeah.
Chris, I have a question about these harpoons. Where do they come from? Why does he use them? Like how are they keyed to people's DNA? Like, how does that happen? Does he like?
I don't know. To be honest, I have no idea how he has this like magic technology. I think it's just like future tech.
Okay.
And then because he is from the future. I mean, he also has like the ability to brainwash random mutants, and he is not a.
He's just a regular guy. Okay.
And he's just a regular dude. Yeah. So it's like, I think some of it is definitely because they really wanted to go with this Ahab motif. And so they gave him a harpoon.
They like harpoons and stuff. So
yeah. But that's basically about it. That's all I know about these things and how he does it.
Okay. You said this was at Earth 811. Is there a 616 version of him?
There is a 616 version of him.
So what we've done is we have given you like the Unus, and then there's in this one world, and then the Unus in 616 is very disappointing. So I'm really hoping that the 616 version of him is also very like maybe it's reversed, right? The one was disappointing, but the other had a full history. So let's see how this one goes.
Yeah. So meanwhile, in the 616, Roger Campbell is a scientist, and he actually works with Moira McTaggart, who is a support. She's in the Rogue Pack for sure. But he eventually actually learns about his Earth 811 version, which, because Earth 811 is not like a parallel Earth to 616, it is more of a dark future Earth. Mm-hmm. It's almost like he saw his future version or a future version, and like a normal person, doesn't want to be a mutant hunting nautical themed villain, and so he does everything in his power not to become that villain, to become that version. And
nautical themed villain is my new band name.
You're very welcome.
Thank you.
So however, things just keep happening to him that like move him closer and closer to the reality of the 811 version, including he loses his leg at one point and has to get a prosthetic leg, similar to how 811 lost both. Yeah, I think he like ends up like in the wrong crowd a lot, including he ends up getting kidnapped by Apocalypse, and I think this, what I would say, explains maybe why the Hounds modular set is included in the Four Horsemen. He is kidnapped and turned into the Horseman Famine.
Oh.
Yet again, I'm going to point out he is a human, not a mutant, so I'm not 100% sure on how that works, but he has all like the normal famine powers, all of that. And I do want to note this is not the version of famine we have in Champions. I know we haven't talked about that yet, but it is not Roger Campbell.
Oh.
And then I think he just kind of disappears. So per the Marvel Wiki, both versions of Ahab, 811 and 616, have both been in exactly 26 issues. And that's it. They are not the same 26 issues, but neither one has been in. I mean, I think there's a couple like overlap ones, but like definitely different 26 issues. So neither one's like in a lot, really, when you think about it. And considering that like the original Ahab, 811, who shows up first, showed up in like 1990, which while I, a millennial, thinks that is 10 years ago, it's apparently 30 years ago.
Yeah, it's a lot longer
Almost
than we think.
40. Yeah, I know. I
did have to look at the art on our famine, and it is definitely not a guy with a harpoon. So
no, well, and the 616 one, I don't think does the harpooning. I think that's a very much the 811 version really leaned in to the Ahab name. He chose to call himself that. I think if you're gonna do that, you gotta go full on.
You got full Ahab. Go full Ahab.
You can't half-ass that. Like, you gotta go full on. You gotta just like own it. I mean, you choose it, you own it, and like more power to him. Honestly, like that's mad respect. But the 616 one never went that far. No. Also, I think our famine's a woman.
Yeah, it looks like it in the art.
Sure. Yeah, so definitely not Broderick Campbell. But yeah, that's Ahab.
Chris, that was interesting, but completely wrong if you're talking about Ahab.
Oh, really?
Well, I mean,
wait,
okay.
Daniel, you're not about to correct Chris on lore, are you?
Oh, I'm absolutely going to correct. You know, I've been waiting 4 years for this, Steve?
Yeah, quite a while. Go, Daniel. Okay. If you can correct Chris, I would love to hear it.
Yeah.
Well, okay.
So, wave 2.
All right. So, Chris, you start talking about you made up some Ahab. I want to tell you about Ahab. Now, fellas, there's this moment in Moby Dick when Captain Ahab, standing on the deck of the Pequod, he gazes into the vast, indifferent sea, and he sees not water, but a reflection of his own torment. The great white whale, Moby Dick, is no longer just a creature of the deep. It has become the embodiment of every grievance, every cosmic injustice Ahab has ever suffered. Now, it's not enough to hunt the whale. He must conquer it, break it, bend it to its will. Now, at first glance, Ahab is the novel's villain. And Chris, I mean, you were talking about Ahab as a villain. Like, I get that, but your villainy and this villainy, I don't it's confusing to me. The monomaniacal captain who drags his crew towards certain doom. That's what Ahab seems to be in the novel. Now, but to see him only as a villain is to misunderstand him, guys. He's not merely a tyrant. He's a deeply tragic figure, a man whose pain has festered into obsession. And Steve, who doesn't know that, right? Am I right? Okay. I mean, and Chris, you know how this warps.
We've got a lot of festering pain around here. So
you do. There's festering pain all over these days. Chris, you know how this warps you beyond recognition, right? I mean, that actually kind of was part of your story. You know, I'm wondering if there's. You know what? I don't even want to entertain how you might be right. So never mind. His relentless pursuit, my Captain Ahab's relentless pursuit of the whale, it's not revenge. It's not just revenge. It's an existential rebellion against fate itself, gentlemen.
Okay.
Ahab's tragedy lies in his inability to let go. After losing his leg to Moby Dick. Wait, Chris, did you talk about losing his leg?
Oh, boy.
I definitely did talk about losing some legs.
Wait, this is odd. Okay, anyway, after losing his leg to Moby Dick, the whale, he refuses to accept the randomness of suffering. Instead, he convinces himself that the whale is an agent of malevolent fate, a force that must be reckoned with, not endured. But therein lies the fatal flaw, gentlemen. Ahab mistakes his own suffering for the suffering of all mankind. He does not hunt Moby Dick simply for himself. He believes he is exacting vengeance for every wrong ever committed by the universe. He's a man so consumed by single purpose that he has ceased to be anything else. He's sacrificed his humanity at the altar of his obsession. Ahab believes he is the master of his own fate. the unyielding force who will dictate the outcome of his war against the whale. But in reality, he's powerless, shackled to his obsession like a prisoner. The more he chases Moby Dick, the less control he actually has. His single-mindedness blinds him to reason, to the warnings of members of his crew like Starbuck, and to the lives of his crew. By the time the final chase arrives, Ahab is no longer even a man. He's a ghost, a specter animated only by revenge. He's become the very thing he sought to defeat, a force of destruction, indifferent to all else. He has raged so long against the whale that he has, actually in some terrible way, become it. An unstoppable force of nature, bringing doom to all in his wake. So when the harpoon line wraps around him in the final moment, dragging him into the abyss, it is as though his fate was always sealed. He believed he was fighting against destiny, but in truth, he had been marching toward his own destruction from the very first page. Ahab's story, gentlemen, is not just about whaling. It's about the danger of unchecked obsession, about how our demons, if left unchallenged, consume us from within. We all have our own white whales. Chris, I'm sure you do. Steve, I know you do. A fear, a regret, a wound that never quite healed.
Hold out.
Ahab reminds us that if we let those wounds define us, if we dedicate ourselves entirely to chasing our own versions of Moby Dick, we risk losing everything. Our friends, our peace, our humanity. I want to end with this, gentlemen. Ahab was not evil. He was simply a man who could not let go. And in the end, that is what destroyed him.
Daniel.
So now reading that, Chris, I realize it's the same thing you read about the Marvel villain.
My biggest question is, did you just watch Star Trek II, Wrath of Khan? That's what that sounded like. I don't know.
Oh my God, really?
What you're talking about.
You know, I'm a nerd and a geek. I've never ever seen a Star Trek movie.
Oh,
What?
I mean, I'm joking, but it is actually really Moby Dick in space.
I love it. I promised myself I'd never laugh tonight. So
laugh.
It's interesting how he your Ahab is fate is driving him forward or something, and the 616 character also somewhat happening as well. He's trying not to become his 811 version. He sort of ends up becoming him anyways. Destiny has a plan for him. Yeah.
And then the 811, I feel like the whale could either be mutants or Rachel Summers.
Exactly.
Going back and back, trying to get her under his control again.
Yeah.
Huh. Look at that. They might have just named him Ahab, not just because they wanted to give someone a harpoon.
So wait a minute, Chris, I came here all excited to correct you for your story, but are you saying that what you said and what I said are linked in some way, or? Oh man,
I don't know.
I mean,
it's very weird.
The leg and the luck and the obsession and the hatred and the. Oh man.
Wait, are we saying that potentially Marvel writers use other literature to come up with ideas?
What?
This seems a lot wild.
You know, this is actually an outrage to me. All right.
This feels like a little bit of plagiarism.
Okay. You know, I guess it's nice to draw on the classics.
Well, or did the classics draw on Marvel?
It's interesting because are those classics still relevant? I wish there was a podcast out there that I could go to and listen to determine if they are or not.
There's no way you would ever know.
Right.
No.
Yeah.
No one has ever talked about it.
Right. But I did a little research on Roderick Campbell, and from what I gathered about him, it's just sort of like this crippling bad luck that sort of defines his life, right? And for Ahab, the Moby Dick Ahab, it's just sort of a thing goes wrong and you assign that wrongness to something more cosmic than it really is. And I don't know. These are intriguing intertwined stories that I actually really like a lot. So Chris, I really didn't come to correct you. I came to honor you with maybe sharing a little bit about what could be the inspiration for Marvel's Ahab, because, gosh, there's some things back and forth here.
So kind, Daniel, on this, momentous last day of
I'll find something.
That's...
Don't you? My revenge is still like Ahab. I'm still obsessed over how I will avenge my honor to you.
Boy, oh boy.
You kind of are. This whole Ahabness feels even more and more. There's layers here. I feel like it's like a 7-layer.
There's not enough layers to deal with your treachery, sir.
Chris, maybe you are Daniel's white whale.
I am.
Oh, yeah.
Things to think about.
Yeah.
Yep. And I'll harpoon myself into my own downfall, just trying to defeat you, Chris.
I don't know who says this isn't a deep podcast, but we're having some deep thoughts here.
Who says that?
I don't know.
Usually the deepest of the podcasts.
Heroes say it.
We're as deep as the sea.
Oh.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Wow. I guess Chris and I both rambled out. Like, this is a 3-hour episode. Are there cards that go with this?
Yeah, there are. We should take a look at them too.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll look at the Hounds modular set that comes in the Age of Apocalypse box. 7 total cards, 4 by title, and it is only suggested in the 4 Horsemen, not required in any scenario.
Okay.
Yeah. We have our Ahab minion, and I think maybe Chris should do the unique minion on his last show here. So, Chris, why don't you give us Ahab?
Would love to. So, Ahab, he's a minion. He's got 2 scheme, 3 attack, 5 health, 2 traits, cyborg and tracker. He has toughness, and a when revealed effect. If Release the Hounds is in play, place 3 threat on it. Otherwise, find the Release the Hounds side scheme and reveal it. That is some weird formatting that I have never noticed. And he has 3 boost icons. Spicy.
Wow.
Yeah. And I will also tell you the art is a cover from that Extermination series I was talking about. And it envisioned around him the original 5 X-Men as Hounds. So that is actually Jean Grey. Young Jean Grey, the time travel displaced one. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And I think the shoulder in the corner, I want to say is Beasts. But yeah, all 5 of them are in this cover. So
shoulder, lower left.
But
yeah, you see the red spiky thing. Yeah.
Red spiky thing? Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. The Hounds are always in leather and spikes. It's weird. Not gonna lie.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yet the Hound card that I'm about to read, I don't see red or spikes.
Oh, there's spikes.
Are there?
They're little.
There's definitely little silver studs.
More like rivets.
Yeah.
Or nubs.
They're like study spikes. Yeah.
They're not as frightening as the other ones.
They could be just buttons.
I feel like they're buttons.
Buttons. Alabaster buttons.
All right. Now, there seem to be a good number of these. Maybe 3, maybe 4.
4. It's 4.
4. Yeah.
There are 4 Hound cards. These are non-unique minions with 1 scheme, 2 attack, 2 health. Steve, I'm already disappointed.
Well, there's 4 of them.
All right. Well,
yeah.
Okay. Let me keep going. They also have the tracker trait, which I don't think I've ever seen until now.
We'll have a pop quiz on that.
Oh, good. Okay.
Oh.
Guard keyword. When revealed, if you are in hero form, Hound attacks you. Otherwise, change your identity to hero form. Oh, I like that. And 1 boost icon. And again, 4 of them. And their flavor text reads, Ahab's Hounds are mutants stripped of free will and forced to hunt their own kind.
Which is interesting because they're not mutants. But I guess they don't typically give mutants to the minion. I know, but they don't have the mutant trait.
Oh, yeah. That's weird.
They don't typically put mutant on any encounter card.
Oh, yeah.
Is that because it could get really confusing with player cards or what?
Yeah, I think that must be it. Okay, so pop quiz.
Mm-hmm.
How many cards by title have the tracker trait?
I'm going to say these two.
Ooh, I feel like if you're doing a pop quiz, there's probably
Yeah, there
more
must
than
be
just
more,
these two
right?
cards. So Daniel said two. So I'm gonna do some Price is Right rules here in reverse and say three.
Wow, how brave. All right, then I'm going to re-vote to 7.
The correct answer is 2. It's just these two that have the track straight. That's it.
God.
So yeah, I was totally screwing with you guys.
That's awesome. Like, so
Yeah. Now Ahab is our newest cyborg, and there are quite a few cyborgs now in the game.
really? Okay.
Yeah. There
Yeah.
are 5 cyborgs in the game. Can you guys name
5?
any of the ones other than Ahab?
So you're saying there are 4 additional.
There are 4
Ahab.
additional. Yes, there are 4 additional cyborgs.
Is MODOK one?
Correct. MODOK is 2.
What?
because there's a new MODOK villain in the shield box.
Oh gosh, I don't have my shield box yet.
I don't have it either.
Me neither, Steve.
Yeah, I know.
We live in America.
Okay, so
Okay. So
he's actually
2 of 4?
2 of the 4 remaining.
He's 2 of the 4. Yep. And there's no way Chris would miss another one. No way.
Oh, is it Miss Bombardus?
It is. Yes.
Yes. Okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Thanks for the hint.
And is that it?
No, and then there's a basic ally who's a cyborg. So this is a player card.
Oh, it's Deathlock.
It is Deathlock. Yep.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Dude, you guys are nerds.
Yeah. Hi. That's why I'm here.
I just used Marvel CDB. I cheated.
That's fair. Yes. I will give you a fun fact about the art on Hound minions.
Okay.
That is Rachel Summers.
That one is okay.
Yeah.
Which we can all agree is a unique character.
Yes. Well, yes. But yeah.
Now, there's a harpoon here, Steve. Why don't you tell us about it?
Yes. Ahab's energy spear. Yeah, we got distracted there a little bit. It is an attachment that provides +2 attack, weapon traded, attached to Ahab, otherwise attached to the villain, with a force to interrupt. When attached enemy attacks you, this attack gains overkill and piercing. At the end of this attack, discard Ahab's energy spear with 2 boost icons. This does what I expect a harpoon to do, although it's named a spear, but it's still overkill and piercing, and it gives you a bonus to attack. He throws it, so he loses it afterwards because it's stuck in someone. I think this is a theme home run.
Yeah.
It's good. That's good.
Yeah. Quite thematic. I mean, the whole set so far, but yes. And good art. It's definitely an energy.
Yeah, it looks
spear.
good. Yeah.
Right.
It's a spear looking crackling with energy. So
it seems definitely on point.
I'm going to tell you about the last card because you guys got such interesting lore. Yeah. I want to talk a little on this show because who let the dogs out?
Who let the dogs out? Who let the dogs out? Who let the dogs out? Who let the dogs out?
But who?
Oh, I'm sorry. Release the hounds.
Release the hounds.
Sir, you should try to project a friendlier demeanor.
Release the hounds. Please.
It's a side scheme. It says Ahab takes pleasure in hunting mutants with the help of his hounds. It has 5 threat, just straight up 5 threat. The first copy of Hound revealed each phase gains Surge.
Okay.
When defeated, the player who defeated the scheme searches the encounter deck and discard pile for a copy of Hound and deals it to themselves as a face-down encounter card with 3 boost icons.
Oof.
And it's got pictures of Ahab and some of his hounds, I'm guessing, because they're in black leather with spikes. So.
Yep. That's their kink. Yeah. That's what they do, man. It's the 90s. Yeah. Which, to point out, by the way, that side scheme comes out or gets worse when Ahab comes out because of his win revealed. So, you get which is nice and thematic. If he comes out, then all the hounds are going to get Surge moving
Right.
forward. Yeah.
Yeah. He comes out and pulls out the side scheme, or if the side scheme's in play, 3 extra threat goes on it when he comes out to keep it in play longer, which forces the Hound minion to surge, giving them a when revealed, forcing you into hero form to outrun them or something, right? Or they attack you maybe, and I like that. Yeah. So
I think their theme, the Hound, is that they found you no matter what, even if you're an alter ego, because they're tracking you down, and so they're like forcing you into like hero, like I've
fight mode.
discovered you. Yeah.
Forced you into confrontation mode.
Yeah. Unmasked you, if you will, in a way.
Sure. Yeah.
The side scheme says the first copy of Hound revealed each phase gains surge. So if somehow you revealed an encounter card in the hero phase, it would also surge. Right?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
It does say phase.
So. Yeah.
I don't know if that would happen much, but
no, but it's probably just so that you don't get those like a surge train, like a bad shuffle, and you had like 2 of them together.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. If it just said every copy of Hound surges, surge. Yeah, that'd be rough.
Yeah. That could be bad. But
okay, so here's a little modular set, right? 7 cards, fairly cohesive. Thoughts, ranks, ratings.
Go ahead, Chris. What do you think?
Well, so I do like it. I actually, in prepping for all these shows, I did. I played some Unus with Hounds mixed in. And it definitely made it tougher, in my opinion. I think the side scheme with 5, and as a true solo player, is rough. Like that comes out, and especially playing with Unus, who you're dealing with the gene pool and like other stuff. That's a lot of like threat, where it's almost like, you know what, just gonna maybe leave it there and see what surge happens. Yeah, and if Ahab comes out after the side scheme, then it's 8, and then I think from a solo perspective, that's like you just
let it go.
Yeah, unless you're like Justice and you have like a lot of thwarting going on, and you've run out of things to thwart. Yeah, the 8 it lives there now. It's a permanent. But no, I think everything's like super thematic for him for this whole set. How the Hounds, they track you down and find you, even if you're an alter ego.
I really like that part. Yeah.
That they're guarding, the energy spear. I didn't even like realize until Steve said this, like it discards because it's stuck in someone. And like I think it's like all very good, all very thematic, and he is alone a scary minion to me. I mean, the 3 attack, like 5, you're probably he will maybe attack, because there's a toughness you got to get through. And 5 is just enough HP, I think, especially solo, where you may not have enough stuff to defeat 5, or it's going to take up what you wanted to do.
Yeah, it's a turn worth of stuff.
Yeah, which, I mean, is the whole point of the encounter cards, to slow you down from punching the villain.
But it's funny, his backstory, he should be a 0/0 in a way, but okay.
Well, he's a cyborg, so all that cyborg implants are
Yeah. And he is like kind of scary. Yeah. And then on the flip side, he's the 3 boost, that's not fun. If you get that. I would say the only like weak to me part is maybe the Hounds only being like 1. They make up like about half. They're 4 out of the 7 cards.
Yeah.
Are the Hounds, and they only have 1 boost icon, but then I almost feel like I don't know if it would be too much if they had a boost ability that would reveal them.
Yeah, or deal them to you. Yeah, deal them to you.
Yeah,
I guess because there's so many in the deck, you don't need like the reveal it, right? So
yeah,
and plus, guard is its own pain in the butt.
Oh, yes,
right.
So yeah, sometimes I think I hate guard more than I hate toughness.
Can I ask a question before we letter grade it? I mean, is Hound's like the first kind of fake quick strike that we've seen, right?
What do you mean?
If you're in hero form, Hound attacks you. That's its when reveal.
Oh yeah,
right. That's quick the first time we've seen that kind of thing. Is that right? Other than standard treacheries and things like that, right? Like a minion where it's not guaranteed to quick strike.
Teamwork does it. right? Teamwork will cause somebody a minion
Sure,
to
okay,
activate against you
yeah,
when they come
okay.
out. Yeah. And we're not counting anything that the villain does because that's completely different.
Now,
Yeah.
the best thing the villain can offer is Hound 1 comes out. You are an alter ego, and it makes you flip to identity. The size scheme is out, which surges the first Hound into another one that then attacks you.
Yeah.
How
Or
exciting is that?
even where it doesn't even have to be all that. The surge could be literally any treachery or anything else that like is way worse in hero form
Sure.
because you were trying to hide out, right? Because you have like
Yep.
2 health. and it's an assault like that you get. Like it could be like anything like which that's not great. Or you already have other encounter cards. Yeah.
Oh my god. This minion is making you play Hawkeye for the rest of your life.
Oh,
This is the anti-Steve minion of all time.
yeah. I think also the Iceman ally
Oh, yeah.
does something similar.
Daniel, to answer your question about the pseudo quick strike, the Badoon Assassins from the Galaxy's Most Wanted box have the after Badoon Assassin engages your hero, it attacks you with +2 attack.
Oh, okay.
But that engages your hero, right? So that piece is kind of there, but not the whole flip you from alter ego bit.
Yeah.
Got it.
That was a long time ago, though.
That was a dark time. Galaxy Most Wanted. Dark time.
Dark.
Yes. Yeah, but this is a very decent set, for sure.
I think it's fun.
Yeah.
Okay, letter grade. Hit me with a letter.
B+.
Okay. Chris?
I think I'm into A-, which I think is literally all Daniel and I have done so far. Lately, it's always B+, A-. I mean, I gotta say, like, it's been a good, like, run of stuff. Yeah, like, very well designed. And I am a sucker for these type of modular sets that are sort of reference each other or, like, in an insular way. Like, this is a fun one because, like, if you get any of the pieces out, you're probably getting the other pieces out, especially with how the like side scheme and Ahab works. I like that because sometimes you can put a modular in and like not really feel like you did, if that makes sense.
You get one card, but not the rest. Yeah.
Yeah. Or they're just like, they end up as boost cards. Like it's just, sometimes it's just a kind of a bummer, especially when you're like, well, I want to play with this modular set. I want to like experience what this thing is trying to do and its gimmick. So
yeah, that's a good point. This one, you put it in, I think.
Yes. Yes. Yes, this one definitely makes life harder.
Which is what we want. Gosh darn it.
It is.
Yeah.
All right. Well, folks out there, I want to know the names of your hounds. What are the names of your hounds at? Spot, Fido, Rover, what do you got? You can email us at criticalencounterspod@gmail.com. For Critical Encounters on Facebook, you can find our YouTube, Twitch, or Patreon by searching for Critical Encounters Podcast. And on Discord, we are Vardane, Big Foam Loaf, and our super special guest. Thank you very much for coming on for the last 4 shows, Scarlet Rhodey.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. And if you like our show, tell your friends. If you don't like our show, tell your enemies. Ahab, take us out.
You cannot hide from me, mutant.
The path to my fixed purpose is laid with iron rails, whereon my soul is grooved to run. Over unsounded gorges, through the rifled hearts of mountains, onto torrents beds, unerringly I rush.